Have you have you ever felt overwhelmed and energetically drained because of so many things to do? And have you ever tried to get unstuck and just to find yourself in the same place and start thinking that you are your own worst enemy? And maybe you even lost the original excitement for your journey, and maybe you even lost yourself because you put so much heart into it with so little results to show. And hi, my name is Edita, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Angie. And despite her natural and bubbly personality, Angie, at some point in her life, she dropped into a dark place. And you know what it's like when you just can't sleep at night, and you can't get up in the morning and face the day. So Angie too, she just lost the joy of her life, and she just felt depressed every day. However, at some point, she managed to get out of it. She managed to find a way to rise up and to get unstuck. And for the last 25 years, she's become a go-to coach for world-class athletes and entrepreneurs. And so now she's on a mission to help even more entrepreneurs to get unstuck like she did at some point, and to become high-performing leaders so they can achieve the biggest goals in their business. And by the way, in her community, Angie is called Awesome Angie. And that's because she's famous for helping people find the awesomeness in them. So if you want to have more inspiration, and if you want to get unstuck, and if you want to have more personal power, and most importantly, more fun, please help me welcome awesome Angie today. Hi, Angie. I'm so excited to have you here on.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for this moment. I'm really excited to talk about this topic. And I think we're frozen because you froze on my screen again. There we go.
We are having, as usual, right? Life happens. We are having technical issues, but that's not going to stop us. So I didn't hear if you said anything. I'm so excited to have you here anyway. And is there anything else you would like to add to the story that I told about you?
Yeah, it's interesting. My journey on this path of what I call vibrant living it's been a colorful one, just like anyone's life. I mean, our lives are colorful. That's what we're here as humans, to have experiences and have fun and just bring people with us. And that's how I see life, at least. And somewhere along the line as humans, I think what I've found is we just get lost in, the politics and the society norms and all the noise out in the world. You ever notice that? Like, the school system, you got to, do these things and act like this. And here's our rules. You go to a job and like, here's the rules here. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like there's society around us that puts this mold on us. When we are here, we came to this earth as a pure creative essence. And I've come to understand the power of that, and just to be able to harness that, because everyone has that in them, but we get lost in society. And that's what happened kind of to me, because when when I graduated college, my goal was to start a business. My goal was to become an entrepreneur. And I graduated college and I said, okay, I'm going to work a job for 3 years. I'm going to learn the industry, and then I'm going to go out and start my own business. And that was a lot. I learned a lot about people and the way society works. And my youth, I think just the fact that I felt like my youth got taken from me because I was, they worked me so hard, and, and then the whole go to school, go get, education, get a job, and, I felt like I was wasting all this time, and like, I just want to go. I want to, like, what is the secret here to like, get somewhere in life? And, so really soon out of college, I started working, and I got into entrepreneurship kind of like behind the scenes. So I was working my job and then like doing the, my own little thing at night. And I was making more money working nights and weekends for myself than I was during the day in the career that I had chosen. And I'm like, what is wrong with this? It was just, it wasn't working for me, and I was in this search mode, and I got into some really strong personal development. I was really lucky in that regard, because I don't see many people specifically study and train to develop themselves. It's not necessarily taught. I wasn't taught it, at least.
And I just to add something. So I think for us entrepreneurs, I think that's what happens to us. Even if we decide to do something for ourselves, by ourselves, it's like the whole society, the system, and all the other things like going on internally and whatever, keep pulling us back, right? They just have this.
Yeah, it's like crabs in a crab pot. One will try to climb out, and it's just a natural thing that crabs do. They grab their friend and they grab their friend and pull him back in the bucket. We're both breaking up a little bit here, so I missed a little bit about what you had said. But that I was talking about the crabs in the bucket, about how naturally that's what they do, is pull each other down naturally.
Yeah.
And so what happened to me is I ended up doing it to myself. I pulled myself down. And we're our own worst enemy in that regard too, at times. And that's what happened to me. So I had this personal development background, which was really good. And I'm very grateful for it, because that's what helped me through when I ended up in that depressed state that you mentioned about in my story. I couldn't even talk about that whole period of my life for the longest time, because it was such a deep, dark place. And that's what drives my work, knowing how dark and deep that place can get. Most people have never been that deep. You just I can't even explain it. That's not even worth talking about, because it's such a deep, dark place that I didn't want to. I honestly just didn't even want out. I didn't want any help. Don't tell me what to do. Just leave me alone. And anyone that's in that deep, dark of a place, there's nothing anybody outside can do. That person has to make that choice themselves. And so that's a deep part of my work, is helping people get to that point. Once they're at that point, we're like, okay, I'm willing. That's the first step, is they've got to be willing.
And have you ever felt like lonely? Like when I know, like when I feel, when I'm in that kind of, not necessarily exactly the same place, but when I'm in a darker place than usual, it feels incredibly lonely, right? It's like there's no temperature, there's no blood, there's no nothing, like it's all in you internally. Nobody can see that. And sometimes, even if you speak up, they even kind of, they look at you with suspicion, and they maybe blame you, and whatever, because there is nothing wrong with you. You are not sick. It's not flu or anything like that. Did you feel that way at all?
Definitely. I always felt like there was something wrong with me. Like, and I was always, everywhere I'd go, I'd be shamed, like, oh, you're doing it wrong, or that's not right. And, and then that whole unworthiness thing, or you don't belong, or I'm being misunderstood. Like, how come you can't hear me? I'm trying to say something. Yeah. And there was just this disconnect. And so it was a process for me to get through all of that, because I was determined. I wanted out, but I didn't. It was that it was that pull of, because when I went like this, I was signifying flatline. It was numbness for me. Like I didn't want to be happy, even though I did. and I didn't want to be depressed, even though I was, and I was like this place.
Yeah.
And
So
go ahead.
Go ahead, Angie.
And it's, if someone's never been that deep into that place and that numbness, which I think more, there's a lot more people in our society now than ever before that are there. It's just indescribable. And so I'm very grateful for my training that I had prior, and then my training that I've had since. And then I'm able to share that with others, which is really grateful. And so I really got put to the test when because the whole depression thing started with the birth of my son. And so it was a chemically induced scenario on top of it, because I'm normally a bubbly person. And so I was literally battling whatever hormonal internal stuff is going on, but I was in denial, because I'm like, oh, this can't be happening to me. You know what I mean? Like, has that ever happened to you? Or like you want something, but you just can't quite get it. And that's where I was at. I was in this place of, I know I want to be more positive, but there's something pulling me down.
Or you even almost intentionally work against yourself for whatever reason. Like quite recently, I was in a place where I made a conclusion. I need to do exactly what I don't want to do to get out of there. Like, I mean, you kind of know what to do, but you don't do it, right?
Nailed it. You do. That's the work that I do, because inherently I do believe that awesomeness is in every single one of us, but it's buried so deep beneath the lies, the society, our own internal, garbage that's going on. It's buried in, but it's in there. There's a spark in there. And when I can get to that with someone and they have the willingness to rise above that, that's where my work comes in. And it's, I didn't have this back then when I was in that place. And had I would have it would have gone a lot faster for me. I got out of there, but it would have been a lot faster knowing the things that I know now.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about what exactly inspired you to start working with entrepreneurs and to help them, to become unstoppable, to get unstuck and become unstoppable in their business and in their life, relationships, maybe.
Entrepreneurs are, to me, the backbone of this country. We are creators by nature as humans. And that's like the definition of entrepreneurship. We create things. That's what we do all day long. Is, as an entrepreneur yourself, you're always creating new offers or new ideas, or, oh, look at this project, or how can I, work with this new client? There's always something we're creating. We're always in that mode of reaching for more. And it's the backbone of our society. And I appreciate that role in our world, because I liked when I was in the job, and we need people that do jobs. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that, there's entrepreneurs put that creative head on and they take risks all the time, which can be, like to your point, lonely place. Just by being an entrepreneur, it's lonely. There's, and you're always taking risks, which I do believe when we end up alone in that process, or we pull ourselves back in that process, it makes things so much harder. But when we pull together, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, whenever you've done teamwork or worked with, more than just yourself, because there's projects you work on yourself probably, and then there's projects you have teams that you work with. There's a difference. When two or more come together, great things happen, and it moves quicker. Being able to feed off each other's energies and ideas. And it's just, I just have a special place in my heart for entrepreneurs. I grew up on a farm, actually. So my dad was an entrepreneur, farmer his whole life. I don't remember him ever having a job, actually. He was in the military.
So I guess you know what it's like to take risks and to have this high level of uncertainty every single time you deal with it. It's just, it gets too much, even when it gets like, you think that things are going all right for a while, and then when they suddenly out of nothing, one email or something like that, and you are in this place again, oh my God, what am I doing? What's gonna happen? I don't know. I don't want this anymore, you know. So I guess you know it all, right? So how what exactly do you do? Do you have a framework of some sort, system? How exactly do you help entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So what I've found is, because this conversation it's a massive one, but I like to make things simple. It's actually very simple, but because it's so simple, it doesn't pierce that our consciousness. We can't even see it. It's so simple. We don't, as humans, or we might see it and it's like, oh, well, that's too simple. That can't be the answer. And so we miss it. And so one of the things, what's that?
I know that. I know exactly what you're saying. It's so simple that we don't see it.
Yes.
We
When
don't
we
believe it can be that simple.
and we need each other to see it. It's like, I'm on my mountain, you're on your mountain, and I can't see, the forest from the trees necessarily because I'm in it. But you can look at my mountain and you're like, oh, look at all the pretty trees and the creeks and I'm just in it, so I can't see it. I also like to talk about the fish in water, like the fish is swimming
Mhm.
around looking all cool and doing its thing, and it doesn't even know what water is. Like, it's just it's just how life is for a fish. And so we can look at each other. That's what's the power in working with other people, is we can help one another and see and point out the strengths and the gifts that we can't even see in one another.
And I just to add to that, like you say, we can't see it ourselves. So most of my audience are network marketers, and by definition, network marketing people have teams, right?
Yes.
So obviously they're not that lonely, to some degree. However, you still need to become a good leader in
Yeah.
order to be able to kind of, put that team together and to lead people and to help them see those things that are, blocking them from achieving something, so it's still very, very necessary, except that you kind of have more people to talk to as opposed to those solopreneurs who work completely on their own, So
Well, what's in to that point with network marketing, that's really a critical piece. Leadership's very critical in that environment, because you come together as a team and you learn leadership skills and you lead one another. But then you go to your own environment and you're running your own network marketing business on your own. You've got to self-lead yourself. So there's the self-leadership piece, and then
oh
there's the
yes.
team leadership.
Mhm.
And some people are good at one or the other, but it's really critical to master both, and
Yeah,
that's two
and
different. Yeah.
I love that point. I love that point when you say, you have to become your own leader first, I guess, in order to be able to lead other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you are stuck in your head yourself, and if something is holding you back, you probably can't even, your energy isn't even there to be able to properly help others.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the old adage of, if you're on a plane, and the plane's going down, you as the mom put your mask on first so you can help your kid. You've got
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's that same concept. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so
So
critical.
do you have specific like steps? Do you have specific system that you apply?
Yes, I do. The first thing that we work on is our personal power. When I work with people, is just getting back to that place of peace, just being able to walk in peace and love every day. And so that when you get that email that like could rattle most people, you're like a duck on water, and just calm and cool and collected, and oh, I got an email and those feet are paddling. Okay, I'll take care of that email. But but you're still like doing your duck thing. I love that analogy, because that's eventually what I help people get to, is just, let's have fun and like explore and because I don't see like the dogs of the world having anxiety attacks, and like chipmunks get a little frizzy, but that's just how they're made. Yeah. But humans, we tend to we absorb all this, and we just we just have these breakdowns sometimes when we don't understand our true nature is to create. And when we create, resistance is inevitable. That was a powerful one for me. When we create, it doesn't matter. And as entrepreneurs, as we're going out there and we're creating, we are taking risks, and then resistance is inevitable. And we have to, as entrepreneurs, understand how do we reclaim our personal power and be that self-leader for ourselves, so that we can be that duck on the water. And oh, you've got 10,000 people at an event and your event space just got taken. What are you going to do? Yeah. Yeah. Because that happened to one of my leaders, actually, and he was just like, oh, okay, we'll just figure this out. The event's in a couple of days, no big deal. Yeah. It's just, you eventually get to that place of, like water off a duck's back. It's just, all right, hit me. What's next? Like so that's the first pillar that I work with people on, is let's get to that place of personal power and get strong there in yourself, your self-leadership, because that's the foundation of all of it.
I love that. I love that. So basically you help people to sort of whatever comes to them from the external world, it kind of bounces off. Like you probably recognize that stuff that's coming, but it just bounces off. You not that reactive, and you just stay where you are with peace and in mind, right? Is that?
Absolutely. Peace and love is the foundation. And that's, I'm not sure if you or any of the listeners read the Bible, but that's a biblical truth. We can put on this armor, that's in Ephesians, where you put on the armor of God and you can walk in, you put on the shoes of peace and love and walk in that place of peace. It's just a metaphor that I love the metaphor of the armor. Are you familiar with the armor of God metaphor? Okay. I'm not getting religious, but
yeah. I get it.
The principle. I love that principle of you lace up your feet with the shoes of peace and love. And walk in that every day. And that to me is that's the foundational step for all of this.
Okay.
So that's the first thing I work with people on, is let's get there. And that's different journey for everybody. Some people that could take some time, and other people, they just need a little tweaks. Like I just needed some tweaks. And it's the nuances that I wasn't quite aware of. And I've been collecting those over the years. And it's just really fun to be able to share those with people as I work with them.
It's so amazing and I can recognize what you're saying in my journey as well as an entrepreneur. Like sometimes the small tweaks are the ones that change everything, the direction of where you're going, or how you are even feeling those blocks. Usually the blocks that you have, usually, you can crack them like this very quickly, when you know how to do it,
Exactly.
So I guess that's what you help people
that's
with.
the first step. It's very foundational, just getting that self-leadership down, and it's a journey. And I love being able to take people through that, because it's just fun to see the layers just start peeling off little by little. But here's the thing that happens in our world, and this is what bugged me about personal development, is there's that shaming piece, and there's that piece of fixing, like, oh, here's what's wrong with you, let's go fix it, or let's go down this, let's do this witch hunt and figure out why this is happening to you. And it's the wrong direction, because that's where the next pillar of my process comes in, is the structure. Like, where are you focusing? Like, how are you structuring your thoughts, your actions, and where you put your focus is your power. I mean, whatever you focus on grows. And what we end up doing, and this is actually just our human nature against us. This is our physiology against us, because as we go for something, then our unconscious actually pulls us down to a different direction. We start focusing on, okay, where I need to fix this before I can get this other thing done. And so this creative structure gets fractured because we forget where we're focused on. Have you read the book Think and Grow Rich? Napoleon Hill talks a little bit about some of this too. I mean, there's a lot of richness in that book. There's so many great books out there. But it's that, I forget, the thought just flipped out of my head, but it's that creative structure, staying focused on the end result. There was a story in there in that book. That's what it was. Like Henry Ford and all the big greats. They remind themselves every day, like Henry Ford, I'm building the best car in the world. I'm building the best car. I mean, you'd think he'd remember that, but he reminded himself every day, twice a day, and that's a success habit. Constantly reminding, where are we going? Where are we going? Even if it seems so basic, we're building the best car in the world. We're building the best car. But it's so easy to get stuck in all that. Okay, oh, well, these parts are out and these people aren't working right and whatever the problem is. And then we start working down here in the problem and we lost focus over here unless we intentionally direct our focus all the time with intentionality, with training to stay in that creative structure. So that's that second piece that I work on with people, because it's again, it sounds so simple, like just we're making a car, we're making a car. But it's so why is it that Henry Ford and all these other greats had to remind themselves where they were going? And we as humans, we're not trained to do that naturally. And so that's a big piece of that second pillar is
that's
staying in that creative structure.
That's very interesting. So basically kind of becomes the habit or your second nature to convince yourself or to remind yourself about the direction and where you're going, really, right?
That's the importance of that morning routine and the evening routines, especially that morning routine, to remind yourself, okay, here's where we're going. And then again, back to that step one, when you're in your peace, you can access so much wisdom in yourself that you didn't even know was there. That's the crazy thing. When you get into that place of peace, like really grounded peace, then when you're going for these creative projects that you're working on, now this wisdom shows up. And again, I do a whole training on, how our consciousness align up so that we can access this information, because the wisdom is there inside, but we can't access it and we're focused in the wrong direction. And like, there's all these things pulling us back, ourselves, society, and it's not our fault. And we as humans, we take it personal. That's where we get in trouble. We start taking it personal. What's wrong with me? And then we go into that, I'm broken. Like, now I gotta fix this about myself now. And we get stuck in that loop.
So what do you think holds people back from going where they want to go, from doing what they kind of know they should be doing,
That's where the third pillar comes in. And it's another sneaky one. People have I had no idea. I had no idea. And this is something that, again, it's going to sound so simple when I say this. We don't, as humans, go for our true choices. We're not actually going for what we really want to go for. We're going for ways to fix ourselves. We're going after society, what society is wanting us to do. Our parents are expecting us to do things, our own expectations. We've got all this nonsense going on. You know what I'm talking about?
So it's basically those things coming from the society, from the system, from your childhood.
I didn't even want to touch childhood.
Information, how you should be doing things, how you should not be doing things.
Yeah. So what's interesting is a lot of people they're going after the wrong choices. So why is it that Henry Ford, I'm just going to use him as the example today, would remind himself, we're building a car. That's what we're doing. That was his choice, his true choice. He was built in his soul. He was meant to build this car. I mean, that's his choice that he made, and he was going for it. And especially as entrepreneurs, high performers, all these shiny objects, like, oh yeah, today we're going to build a car, tomorrow we're going to build this thing to go to the moon. Oh, look at this, why don't we make this? And then we've got all these choices out there going on, and but which ones are the true choices? And then we're back to that structure. Like, let's stay focused on what that true choice, on the one true choice that really lights you up. Because sometimes we end up in scenarios where we're doing something we don't really necessarily want to be doing anymore. And that happens a lot to a lot of people.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is where mentors and coaches come in.
Definitely.
To kind of to show you where you should be going and to kind of keep, moving you back to, if you go off track, they kind of put you on track, every now and then, so to help you focus. Okay.
For sure. And I've had many mentors and coaches over the years, and I've learned a ton from each one. Each one brought me something, and I'm constantly always seeking out new mentors and coaches. It's just a part of my nature. I love learning from people. And so I've learned a lot of what not to do, which is interesting as a coach, because what's really cool about the work I do is, and then we go back to that mountain thing, like a coach can see your mountain and all the beauty that's there and help bring that out of you. I also like the analogy of the iceberg. Like, there's this little peak that's coming out of the water, and but down below there's all this resource inside each one of us we don't even know that's there. And a really good coach knows how to not fix you, not show where you're broken and like, let's fix this and this and this, and here's my agenda for you. Help you bring out your own agenda, all those resources that are already in you, and bring that out. That's what a really good coach can do.
So who finds, just for the sake of my audience, who finds it just amazing to know that you have everything you need to succeed, to achieve your goals, to get what you want in life? And it's just like, we all have that. How amazing is that, right?
It's so powerful to really authentically come to that place of knowing, like, oh my gosh, I am enough. I belong. I'm wow, I'm not misunderstood anymore. Like, I can speak my truth, and like this is me, like, share authentic me. That's what's really cool. That when someone can get to that place of truly walking in peace and love, and walking in their power, standing in their power, and then staying focused in that creative structure, and then go after the true choices, not just fixing something or someone else's expectations, but really going after what's that deep desire in your heart. There's something in there that has been speaking to you like all these years, like your whole life perhaps, but you've either not been able to articulate it, or it's like this feeling, or it's this knowing. And when you can truly access that's what I love helping people do, really access those resources, and let's bring that to the world. That's why you're here.
And who else, like I like, for me, the way it was for a very long time, and maybe you can relate to this as well. Like, for many, many years, I thought that I only have what I learned in school, in the university, maybe from some books, and that's it. And basically that's it. That's what I have. That's all my resources. Like, I didn't even realize that there are so many things in me already, so I think many people can relate to this.
Yeah. And it's the mustard seed analogy came to mind, because all you need is that little spark, that little mustard seed. And as long as you have that one little opening of willingness, like, oh, maybe could I possibly bring to this world what's in my heart, what's resonating in here? Can I possibly do that? I can take that spark and help amplify it. That's what's really cool. We can each do that.
Do you think, is there anything else that holds people back? Like, anything else?
Oh gosh. Well, for sure. People, oh, sorry. People, well, we have all these, the unconscious. The unconscious is constantly undermining us. And we have all these core woundings from childhood. Like when we come to this earth as that pure creative essence, and we go through this childhood where we are, without even realizing it, no, I don't think anyone can get out of childhood without having one of these agendas against them, whether they feel like they don't belong, or they feel like they're not worthy, or they're not capable. That's another big one. There's lots of that inner chatter that people have, and they just can't seem to silence it. That's definitely something that holds people back. And it's the human, what I love about that is knowing that, oh, that's just interesting. That's our human nature. Okay, it happens to humans. This is just a human thing. I can rise above that and create anything I want. It's like when you go to the again, another biblical reference, just because I love the Bible. In Genesis 1, the Garden of Eden, and there's, God gave us everything, all these, everything in the garden. You can have anything you want, but he put one tree right in the middle that we weren't allowed to have. And as humans, it's so interesting. Tell me if you can relate to this. We notice what's wrong. Like we can't have that. We can't have that tree. Why can't we have that tree? And our focus is on, why can't we have all this other, you can have any of this other stuff, but why can't I have, and so that's when, oh, I'm not. And then when you eat from that tree, that's when these woundings come in. Like, I'm not capable, I'm not worthy, I'm not strong enough, or whatever chatter, garbage. That's definitely something that holds people back quite often. I work with that quite a lot with people.
Okay, that's very interesting, and I really appreciate you talking to me today. And it's so super, like, it feels empowering just to be talking to you and hearing about that stuff. So I hope it works for my people as well. And so what do you think should listeners do next after hearing all this? What are their options?
Yeah, well, for sure. Well, for what I've got an upcoming masterclass, which is really cool. That would be a great next step for your listeners. It's a deep dive, and we go deep into this. I get into the science, and we talk through these things, and it's a live masterclass. So you can bring your exact questions to this class and get them answered, which is brilliant. Because
Can I be there too?
What's that?
Can I be there too?
Absolutely. Yes. So all the details are at inspiredlifelive.com/Edita, EDITA, your name. That's where your listeners can go to get all the information about the upcoming masterclass. And I would love to meet your people there. I think that would be fantastic.
I would love to bring some people to you, to help them, because I can't imagine how this works after talking to you. It just sounds really good.
Awesome. Yeah, it's my heart's desire to, because I've been in that dark place. I don't want anyone to live there. And it's, we could, we choose to stay there, or we could choose right now to step out and build that car or whatever your end result is. It's all comes down to that choice. And it's immediate. It can happen now. The person that you become out of, just after that one little 4-hour, it's a 4-hour masterclass. It's a deep dive. Just after that 4 hours together, you will not be the same person. Any of your listeners that attend will not be the same person. It's a transformational event. I'm super pumped to be able to bring that to your group.
Sounds amazing. Awesome, Angie. So thanks so much for being here today with me. And listen, if I'm gonna get that link from Angie, and I'm gonna put it together somewhere around this video, right? So make sure if you resonated with this, because I'm sure this is just amazing thing to have for you on your journey, especially if you know probably what we're talking about when we talk about, you know, getting to these dark places, not being able to get unstuck. So Angie can definitely help you. So I'm gonna get that link from Angie, and I'm gonna put it somewhere around the video in the post and whatever it is. And you know, just click on the link and go to that mastermind. You don't want to miss this because this is gonna be great, I think. So thanks again. Awesome, Angie. Really love chatting with you. I totally resonated with so much that you were saying. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. Yes. And God bless all of your listeners as well. I look forward to meeting everybody.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. And bye, everyone.
Bye. Keep being awesome.